Thank you. Here we are again at the beautiful Mahaiwe for the December concert of Close Encounters with Music. I want to thank all our friends and patrons who are making these events possible under those very trying circumstances, and hope that you will consider becoming one. Every theater is a lunatic asylum, said a friend of Franz Liszt, but opera is the ward of the incurables. Opera, it is the plural of opus, which in Latin means work, labor, and in English, composition, artistic work. And therein lies the problem. It is an attempt at synthesizing drama, music, instrumental and vocal, ballet, chorus, acrobatics, costume designing, animal show, and large canvases for backdrop, all in one. The plots, the libretti, are often ludicrous and absurd. They seem to recede in order to allow full expression to the music. Even when a great text is adapted, like Othello or Faust, you don't go to the opera to experience the vitality of Shakespeare or the exquisite poetry of Goethe. Only the outer shell remains, the plot. Rilke did not allow his poetry to be set to music, fearing that it would intrude, would conflict with the music already there. So the role of the librettist is crucial. The composer will follow the rhythm of his words and the cadences of his sentences and react to the sound of specific syllables, like hand in glove. That is why you will never hear a Wagner opera in Japanese or in Russian. Impossible. Papageno, how perfect. Desdemona, or worse, Carol. Another name would elicit different music. Mozart's librettist, Lorenzo da Ponte, was a dashing young Venetian, a poet, a priest, and a serial womanizer. He had been a friend of Casanova. Lucky in cards and in love. He moved to Vienna, collaborated with Salieri, and authored the libretto for 3 of Mozart's great operas: Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, and Così. He ended up in New York City selling tobacco and tea in a small shop and becoming the first professor of Italian at Columbia University. Quite a piquant, operatic character himself. Till the end of his life, he claimed credit for the success of the works. His bragging was exaggerated, but not false. The divine glove of Mozart's music fitted perfectly the hand of Da Ponte's words. Which is the greatest opera ever composed? Rossini, Charles Gounod, and Wagner all say Don Giovanni. And they knew a thing or two about opera. Beethoven preferred the magic flute because he found Don Giovanni too immoral. He was a bit of a prude. The original title was Il dissoluto punito, the rake, the scoundrel, punished. And both Mozart and Da Ponte called it dramma giocoso, a jolly play, a fun play. Any deeper metaphysical significance that German critics and thinkers found in it, including a fascinating essay by Kierkegaard, was not initially intended. The following two anecdotes concerning the writing and preparations for the opera should convince you that it was born in an atmosphere of levity and lightheartedness. At the rehearsal, Mozart was dissatisfied with the scream Zerlina had to give when the Don, during the ball, enters her private room and tries to seduce her. So he snuck behind her and at the precise moment gave her a sharp pinch in the behind. It produced most satisfactory, realistic results. Another true story. It is 24 hours before the premiere of Don Giovanni, and not a note of the overture has been written. This account I found in the memoirs of an eyewitness, a visitor by the name of August Gottlieb Meisner. 3 sopranos enticed Mozart into a room, locked the door from the outside, and told him through the window that he would be a prisoner until he produced the music. Meisner recalls that Mozart laughed in spite of himself as the ladies were using long poles to which they tied the various requisites he would need for the night, balancing them on the windowsill. Here are 2 lamps and a couple of bottles of wine and cakes and sweets. Da Ponte, more down to earth, appeared with a rake to which a chamber pot was attached and cried, "You will need this too. Take it, divine maestro." Mozart retorted, "A pity it's empty, otherwise it would be the worse for you." Now that you know the circumstances under which a sublime overture was written, let's enjoy 2 of the arias.
Sono qui come agnelli Andiam, mio bene, andiam, le bene a
In the kingdom of music, the two provinces farthest apart are opera and chamber music. One introverted, intimate, abstract, the other theatrical, extroverted, bombastic, representational. Imagine an elephant crossing the stage during a Schubert trio. In spite of that distance, a narrow bridge connects the two, and this bridge was built because of necessity. With no TV, VCR, radio, records, how often could a person attend an opera? The tunes, the hits, had to be arranged and adapted to a smaller scale performance. Piano reductions, variations, fantasies for home consumption. Beethoven's variations on the aria from the Magic Flute are a commentary on the entire opera, each variation suggesting a different character, another character from the opera. The plot is embarrassingly weak. It begins as a fairy tale, and later takes on a serious religious significance with a secret Egyptian order reference to Mozart's involvement with the Freemasons. With no plot, no Chagall backdrops to luxuriate in, listen to how Beethoven explores the melody as an abstract musical structure. What is left is the pure charm of Mozart, which brings Ludwig as close as he ever comes to being playful and flirtatious. We'll have the aria from the Magic Flute followed by Beethoven's theme and variations.
Reiche Mann, wie Gott,
The third movement from Beethoven's trio, piano trio, is based on a rather crude song from a now extinct opera by Josef Weigl, who was the director of the Imperial Theater in Vienna and a popular composer during Beethoven's time. The opera is L'amor marinaro, sailor's loves. And the profound words to the song are, before I begin work, I must have something to eat, eh? Everyone on the sidewalks of Vienna must have been whistling this tune when it was published in 1797. And in 1798, Beethoven incorporated it into the last movement of his Opus 11 trio. While the opera has not been heard in 200 years, it is by the grace of a great composer that one of its tunes has achieved immortality. Let's hear this song first by Josef Weigl, to be followed by the entire trio.
Magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno, magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno, magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno, magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno magisto prenda, farvo merenda, pria ch'io l'impegno magisto prenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda, farvo merenda.
Franz Liszt was a formidable pianist and made numerous arrangements to highlight the capabilities of the instrument and to showcase his prowess, including an arrangement, a piano arrangement of all of Beethoven's 9th Symphony, symphonies for one piano. He also adapted some music by Wagner. Wagner's second wife, Cosima, was Liszt's daughter, so it stayed in the family. Of these arrangements, we will hear Liebestod from Tristan and Isolde. Another legendary pianist, Vladimir Horowitz, wrote a miniature fantasy on themes from Carmen by Bizet, probably the most popular of all operas, based on a novel by Prosper Mérimée, and the story of the femme fatale Carmen, who, with her seductive powers, demolishes Don José, the corporal. The opera was premiered in Paris in 1875 and has been repeated at the Opéra Comique alone more than 3,000 times. Unfortunately, Bizet died 3 months after opening night at 37. Another great composer, like Mozart, Schubert, Mendelssohn, who died in their 30s and left us with unbelievable treasures. So let's listen to the 2 piano arrangements to be followed by 2 arias from Bizet's operas.
on fait silence, à que se passe-t-il? Plus de cris et de sang, le taureau s'élance en bondissant, il s'élance, il entre au frappe, au cheval roule, en prenant un picador. Ah, bravo taureau, que la fonde, le taureau va, il vient, et frappe encore, oh, c'est bandaria, plein de fureur du cour, le cirque est plein de sang, quand ce sang va fracher la grille, c'est au tour maintenant, allons, en garde, allons, toréador, en garde, toréador, et songe bien, oui, songe au combattant, que le noir te regarde, et que l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour t'attend.
When it comes to zany humor and bubbliness, a few can match Rossini. Born in 1792, 5 months after his parents got married. It taught him a lesson. He was never again early to any other appointment in his life. Laid back, lazy, composed in bed. At age 37, after producing all his amazing operas, he stopped writing, and for 40 years enjoyed his fame, was a renowned gourmet, extraordinary cook, and grew incredibly fat. Later in life, he resumed writing non-operatic music and presided over the most prestigious soirees in Paris, in which Liszt, Gounod, Saint-Saëns performed those new works. How easy it must have been for the Marx Brothers to turn an opera into a comedy. Here is an actual description of the disastrous opening night of The Barber of Seville. 34 years earlier, another composer had written his Barber to the same story. He was older, successful, and threatened. His name was Giovanni Paisiello. On the night of the premiere, Paisiello stayed home, but he sent a group of friends to the theater to carefully organize a whole series of spontaneous demonstrations. His people hooted and laughed and hissed until the singers hardly could hear the orchestra conducted by Rossini himself. Naturally, they got rattled. Almaviva neglected to tune his guitar for the serenade for Rosina, and while he was fussing with the pegs, a string snapped in his face. Don Basilio came out and immediately tripped over his costume. Another singer fell through a trap door. Scenery toppled over. And during the finale of the first act, somebody let a cat loose on the stage. They say that Rossini only wept 3 times in his life. Once, when he heard a fellow composer sing. Once, after the premiere of The Barber of Seville. And a 3rd time, at a picnic, when a truffled chicken fell into the river. We're going to hear two of Rossini's works. And if you didn't think he was the cat's meow, you may find out otherwise.
Piacere
This time, it is a fellow Italian providing the thrill. The legendary Paganini, the violin virtuoso, was once on the stage giving a concert, and as he was playing, the strings began to break, one after the other, until he was left with the one string alone on the violin, and this is the piece he is supposed to have improvised on the spot that night. It is theme and variations. The theme is the very dignified aria from Rossini's opera Moses, when Moses is praying before he splits the sea in two. And then, of course, Paganini proceeds to turn it into a whole circus, a bunch of operatic jokes, a spoof on an opera based on this super dignified theme. If you knew a little bit more about Paganini and what a master he was at PR in promoting and continuing his legend in the public's eye, you would assume that the night before he was sitting in his studio writing a piece for one string alone. Then, the following evening, stepped on the stage, deliberately broke the other three, and voila, there he was again, the legendary Paganini. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy the evening. Oh, we couldn't let A Night of the Opera be concluded without Puccini. So for an encore, our beautiful soprano will sing to us one of his most popular arias from La Bohème. Traditionally, normally, right on this stage, we have the audience come up and they get to meet the artists and ask questions about the music. So this will be a replacement for all of you who are watching us and listening to us on the screen. These are very unnatural times, very difficult and very trying times, especially, I was thinking, especially for singers. Opera houses are closed. You're much more in danger of projecting with your singing things that should not be projected. So why don't we start with you? Tell us how you're managing.
Well, you're correct. It's a very difficult time for everybody, but singers especially. You know, the old joke used to be, don't sit on the front row unless you want to get spit on. Not so funny anymore. But, you know, to produce and project the sounds that we need to get all the way to the back of the hall and to articulate with good diction, it takes a lot of energy behind that sound. So, yeah, it's difficult to not feel stifled and muffled as singers in this time, but Carrie and I have both been very proactive, both in our private voice studio, teaching our students, as well as working on projects, collaborating virtually with friends and colleagues to come up with online content that we can share. But so much of it to continue to be proactive so that when we come out on the other side, we're going to be ready to take the stage again.
We're fortunate, you know, we have each other. So we're fortunate that we can still do things together, and we've had a few outdoor concerts that we've done in our neighborhood for very, very small audiences. Being able to come here together has been a joy.
Maybe we should tell all the viewers that the reason that those two lovely people could stand and sing next to each other is that they are husband and wife.
Mann und Weib.
Man and wife. So there was no problem with projecting without the mask. Fortunate for us. So wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Let me turn this way. Peter, any profound thoughts?
We are always looking for the bright side. And I think that we have found some very, very bright sides to this disaster. Prior to March 11th, I was not a fan of teaching online. And I did turn up my nose a bit when I heard about some famous musicians who were doing, Skype lessons and such, and I had a bit of an attitude about it. And I've learned to love this, at least be happy about this medium. It allows us to have contact with people that we would not see. Tonight, I'll be teaching a student in China. Yesterday in the morning, it was a student in Singapore, another one in Korea. And these are people that I would not have access to. So if we think that we have something to offer, then this gives us a chance to express something about the music. And I can say that in spite of everything, we see a lot of students coming in and wanting to study this music.
In
They really
addition
are.
to us having access to these kinds of students have access to artists who would normally be traveling and booked to the hilt and would never have the opportunity to work with seasoned professionals. So there are many silver linings, you're right.
Right. The big question that no one has an answer for is, where is music going at this point? And all those eager students, what will they do when they master violin or voice? Where will they go with
Well,
it?
that's one of the big points we try to make to our students, is that this is not a time to be sitting around, dwelling on a pandemic. If anything, this is a time when we can learn new skills. We've got students that are working on their language skills. We've got students that are, like myself, I'm learning from my students how to edit video and audio. There are lots of things we can and should be doing, because this will end. This will end, and that's our big message to our students. When we all come out the other side of this, we need to be prepared.
Yeah. You probably have the same feelings?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that, I think all of us who are on stage as part of our professional activities include working with students, but we are also ourselves students. I think Carrie just gave an example that we're all learning. And I think one of the silver linings for me personally, I imagine it's the same for all of you, is that, definite cloud was that I had a lot of concerts that were canceled. So what it gave me was the opportunity to work on a lot of music I'd never played before, and to really work on some things in my playing that I wanted to improve. We all want to keep getting better, and that's one of the great joys and challenges of being in the arts, not only in music, but in any art form. You're never done. So, and that's, can feel like a challenge sometimes, but now, personally, I had lots of time to work on some things, and I recorded myself a lot and listened to it. I said, I better fix that. So, and pieces that I hadn't played before. So, absolutely, that is one of the silver linings, and I think another potential silver lining, we have to wait and see. Of course, I think at the moment we're all getting a little excited about the possibility of a vaccine, and that maybe in a few, at some point we'll be having live concerts again. And of course, a lot of people are worried about the future of classical music and actually about the present, people who are trying to make a living and hanging on while they wait until concert halls and opera houses can open again. But I also am hopeful that people will realize what an incredibly important part of their life it is now that we can't go to concerts. Now that you can experience music, we hope you enjoy experiencing it on video, but I imagine it kind of makes you want to be here in person. So I think that people are going to be that much more eager to support something that supported them during this difficult time. The music of Bach and Beethoven and Brahms has been like an incredible companion to me in this kind of lonely time.
You know, my childhood was unfortunately marked by too many wars growing up in Israel. And there's one very strong memory I have of going with my father to a concert during the blackout. Windows were shut, the lights of cars were painted black, all glass facades were covered with tapes, and dark streets. And I remember holding my father's hand, going to the auditorium to hear the Philharmonic playing a concert. And it struck me, of course, we are trying to guard our lives. We have an invisible foe right now also, and we try to stay alive. But there's also there must be meaning why we are alive, the purpose for being alive. And this was what I learned from this. I still remember Isaac Stern playing a concert with a gas mask on in Jerusalem. You don't forget such memories, because they remind you that we live for a purpose, and what we all are trying to do is really give meaning to being alive. Am I overstating it?
Not at all.
Well, could there be a more universal language than music?
Right. So thank you for being with us today. All the 10 of you. It makes a huge difference to know that someone is here listening, and I hope many, many more are listening on the screen at home. And one day soon, we'll all be here together, physically, hopefully.